Yo, yo. All right. Islam to the fam to deal with that. But yo, I'm on my way to Staples, print out some documents, and I want to talk about presentments and rescissions. So basically, presentments is anything that you're presented with from a corporate capacity, as far as instruments or documents. Now, documents, just think about written forms, anything in written form. Instruments is more so something more tangible. So I'll deal with that later. But so basically, whenever you're presented with any, like, let's say a traffic violation, a bill of mortgage, like you have a mortgage bill that you pay, or anything like that from these corporate venues, you have ability to rescind those, which means you deny the fact that you have an obligation to do it under contract. And the only way that they can prove that you do have a contract to them is in writing with a form of something that you signed already. So if they can't provide that to you, then you basically can prove that you don't owe the bill, and you can use the financial credit. No. It's the Truth in Lending Act. You can use that as far as contracting to bills that you don't owe. And basically, if you were forced to sign a contract, but they didn't tell you that you were allowed to rescind it, like basically recontract and say that you're not obligated to the debt. If they didn't tell you that, then it's not following the Truth in Lending Act, which is violating equity laws, and that's the only place a corporation has powers in equity. But if you are a human being, you're not a commodity, so you don't belong in equity venue. But that's where they have you. So something simple is like rescission. If they send you a bill, also like a traffic ticket, you can write across it that you do not agree to the proceedings, and you do not consent to contract and do business with them. You write that down there. You get it certified by a notary of whatever state, republic you're in. And if you're dealing with a certain county of a city, do it in the county of the city. Like, do the notary in the county of the city that you had the violation, or that they gave you the violation in. When you do it like that, it'll just stick better. It'll fit better with the data and the of your corporation. So, because it's all business, and if you do it right, you won't have to pay any of your dollars, but you could just basically write on paper. Oh yeah, it is this already. You understand that certain, if you use black ink, that means you're dead in the eyes of the law. Like, even the ink that you use represents certain things. If you sign in red, that's signing in blood. If you sign in blue, that represents the waters or the air, meaning spiritual or admiralty. But it's a spiritual intent. And the purple represents royalty. So this is stuff that we all need to learn and study, because we're way behind as far as where we need to be. And I'm starting to see people are retrograding on the knowledge and the understanding to get lost in histories. We have no business dealing with some of the histories that are being taught. Unless you're studying your bloodline and your ancient ancestors, you have no business in those history lessons. Meaning, most of the history that we hear is coming from a European paradigm. So it's talking about it's either going into the Catholic Church and here we go, and the violations of the Catholic Church and all that. They basically start you off. Oh, I don't know what just happened. They basically start you off with they start you off where we are in the shits, if you would say. But if you started, they hating on my feed. That's how that was. This is crazy. This is crazy. But the Council of Nicaea, they banned Catholicism which is the study of the set, the balance of physics. Too deep for paradigm. We know Catholics and Catholics together presentments and so the status of being Oh, all right, dang. I got a low battery, so it's doing me dirty. Before I go into the Staples to send these certified mails off or print them out, I just want to wrap it up. So presentments. When you're being dealt with presentments and when you're dealing presentments, you want to make sure that whoever is dealing you the presentments knows who you are when you respond to them. So you should respond to them with putting them on notice to who you are, and if you're receiving something, know how to read properly to where you can identify who is sending you this correspondence. So if you read it and it's saying the city of such and such, just know that when it's saying city of, that's going off a charter that actually created that city. So let's use something like Philadelphia, right? If they say city of Philadelphia, if you read the ordinances of Philadelphia, the thing that created Philadelphia was its home rule charter, 1951, I believe. But when they did the charter to put Philadelphia into being, they called it the city, which represents a company, which represents a corporation. So Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, is really nothing more than Staples or Walmart, when you understand that. So to really understand this is to think that why would you walk into Walmart and then Walmart's employees and managers and assistant managers be allowed to tell you what to do and then hit you with fines and keep you in Walmart if they feel like you violated their rule? Well, what about your human rights? How do you get human rights? How do you incur or how do you receive human rights? How are human rights bestowed upon the person, the natural being, the natural person? How are human rights bestowed upon this being? I give you a big hint. What are birthrights? When it comes to rights, you're born with your rights. So every right that I have as a human being, I'm born with them innately. When the United Nations makes a declaration telling me about the rights of indigenous people, that's reminding me of the rights that I already had being born as a human. When they trick you into the mind state that you're a corporate venue or a corporate commodity, and you look at that corporate commodity as being you, then you lose all of your aspect or all of your mind, all of your consciousness when it comes to what it means to have rights as a human being. You are thinking about privileges and allowances being a corporate commodity, a federal commodity. But that's, if you're that, then you're no more than the paper that they print this money on. Do you understand? The fiat notes, the fiat debt notes, is exactly what you are. And so if I call myself Kenneth Stephen Taylor, a resident of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with the zip code and all that, then I'm saying that I agreed to be a corporate venue, a commodity under their census code. Yeah, because the census is ran by the Department of Commerce for some reason. You look that up and figure out why is the Department of Commerce handling census and not the Department of Human Resources or human rights. What about that? What about human rights services? What about the international Interpol and the International Justice Court? What about that? How come they don't deal with the census? United States is international, right? They used to be in the United Nations. We'll talk about that. But yeah, United States, right? It really should be called United Nations of America, because every state is a nation, a foreign nation to this land of America. Like when you hear these names, New Jersey, New York, New Hampshire, those are new provinces of old England, but it's here in America. So it goes to show you, like, if we fought these people to get independence, right, how would the name still plague the land? That means that there was no, the war was only written as a war. It wasn't a war. It was a friendly conveyance of sovereignty, which I don't know how you do that when one body of land is on one side of the water and the other one is on the other side of the water. You have to play maritime jurisdiction and admiralty jurisdiction to do stuff like that. But what they're missing is the law of the land. If you separate the admiralty jurisdiction from the law of the land, what you're really doing is taking the water laws and making those laws apply to the land laws, which is taking the Constitution and throwing it out, which is why someone told us to enforce the Constitution. Because if we don't do it, no one else can, because we're the only person that's heirs to the land. We can enforce the Constitution because our ancestors are the one who wrote it, believe it or not. Constitution for the United States Republic, North America, which became United States Constitution. Then that derived into individual state constitutions. So you already know the Constitution of those states tie it back to the U.S., which ties it back to the Constitution for America, which states that any treaties made now or after, any laws any authorities and laws under the Constitution, so laws of the United States under the Constitution, so laws that they got after they made the Constitution, goes under the Constitution and or treaty that was made pursuant as they were writing, after or before. There was a treaty that created America. I'm not going to tell you the treaty. You find it out, because every time they pull it up online, they want to tell you about Britain. It's not Britain. The nation that signed the treaty for United States to be a nation, or a so-called nation, is not listed in everyday knowledge. You have to go search that out on YouTube, Google. Just type in treaty that made America. Type it in. Type it in treaty that created United States. Oh my God. And then when you find out that the treaty was never broken, but they broke every single Indian treaty, every other treaty of any other race of people they broke. So when it gets to the first treaty that created the United States, you see how they never broke that, how it's still enforced today, and how there's heirs. let me do it right. If you were to invoke that treaty, you automatically put yourself in international law. And since the treaty was never broken, it has to be honored. Do you know that every cop, every judge, every magistrate takes the oath to uphold the Constitution, which is law of the land, and or treaties made pursuant before, at the time, or after, or to be made, right? So if you're using a Constitution and a treaty, and or a treaty, that's law of the land. People that want rights and really want to be free, start enforcing the treaty. I'm not going to tell you what the treaty is. Look for it. Like I said, the treaty that created the United States. Look for that treaty. Put that treaty on record every time you're in court. But make sure you're in proper person, propria persona, sui juris, S-U-I-J-U-R-I-S, sui juris, or proprio, solo proprio, and proprio persona solo, or whatever, like solo proprio persona, or propria persona sui juris. Put yourself in those two statuses, one of those two statuses, before you start to, enforce anything, because before you do that, you're looked at as part of the corporation. So you're looked at as the agent or officer of the United States corporation. So if you start trying to fight them with their laws, and while you look like you're a party to them, what you're going to do is throw laws against yourself, because they're going to deny being a party to whatever you're talking about, and then they're going to throw whatever you're saying as the law against yourself. Because like I said, the only law that's real is the law that you can prove in writing. If you're speaking and they play the color game, they'll let you speak yourself into a jurisdiction that you create on your own. So just know that. So presentment. Present yourself in a proper persona sui juris, solo proprio, right? Or present yourself in natural person standing. You're alive, full life, opposite of siliter mortus, So you're not dead in the eyes of the law. You are alive, living, breathing, sentient being, Meaning, this is me, right? The body, but that's not who I am. The who I'm talking about lives inside of this body and operates outside. What you're seeing act is my spirit, right? The soul is inside of the being or the body, and I speak from out. This body that you see is shedding every day. I'm like the atoms are dying off. So as you see me getting older, you see me, shit that I got to do to keep my body up shows you that my body is not really alive. We're looking at the now, but what has taken place has already happened. So we're seeing the later aspect of this body, which is not going to move one day. If you know how time works, my body is not moving now. It's just that you're looking at the reflection of what happened already. Like when we see stars in the sky, that happened millions of years ago. We're seeing it as live now, but it's already happened. Like light right now is taking 8 minutes to get to my vision. So anyway, when I'm looking at a body or somebody walking around, that entity is already diminished from the plane. What I'm supposed to be actuating and connecting with is the thing inside of that body that makes it move. The actor, the action to the actor, the fire, the mover, the redeemer. Okay. So when we hear these things, we feel okay. Because my body, if I imagine my body as being a whole lump of clay, right? What would be the entity or the aspect of that makes my body move again? Fire, because it melts the clay down into this liquid state, which makes it move on its own free will to this clump of clay. So elements bring you back to spiritual, solar aspect, But without the elements, we're just beings, we're just bodies that are dead, the beast. So, don't be the body. Be what controls your body. Be the operator of the body. Be the energy to the body. Don't be the body. The body is death. Be. What do they say? You are what you eat. They didn't say what you eat is you. No, they say you are what you eat. So whatever you consume or whatever you take in, eyes and mouth wise, you take in, that becomes an aspect So boom, you form a pyramid. See, boom, boom, form a pyramid where your pineal is, which stores a certain perception or image of whatever it is you intake. So when it fires back the image out, if you're not conscious of a certain state of yourself and whatever's outside of you, you'll project outside of your mouth and your eyes a negative image, which is falsehood, the naught. I am aught inside. My physical being, as we already talked about, is mixed strangely with aught and naught, meaning my body, as you see this body, right, my face, my eyes, all that, this is truth and falsehood strangely mixed, my body. But the inner me is only truth. Outside of me is only falsehood. So the crossroads of this truth and falsehood is balance. That's where I want to be. That's where y'all want to be. Truth and balance. Be in the middle of this crossroad. 888. Shout out to Blue Pill and Red Pill. 888. Like they said, where is all the astrologists at? How come y'all not talking about that this is the time? Yo, the last 3 things that happened, I didn't hear about that from none of the people that's on this on this wave of the natal charts. Y'all supposed to be telling us about what if it's a super eclipse, like seriously, something that we haven't seen in 100 years, a solar eclipse. Same year you have a lunar eclipse. In the same year, the record breaking. In the same year, it's an 888 alignment. Well, like, why do we not know about this? This is a Leo solar awakening. So the lion, the Judah, right? What does that represent? The lion, the mane, right, is the male, right? The face is the male, but the background, the one who really holds the kingdom down, is the female. So it's saying, like, the real aspect of the pride is that the feminine lion, the female lion, Hatshepsut, right, is the deity, is the divine. We gotta know that. Feminine energy return. So even and then we're in a return of the feminine aspect, yo. Like, you gotta know, like, how to line yourself up, you know. So just do your rituals, do your candle magic, do your intentions, trying to save the children, intent. Keep your mind on the children and the youth. Honor the feminine aspect in yourself and outside. Feminine just means the intuition and the unseen, and channeling the unseen. So basically, if you're in tune with your feminine aspect, you are your prophet, because you know what to tell people is coming, and it's going to be right and exact because you're getting the information from the goddesses themselves. They call them angels or angels of light. Those are feminine aspects of light being diverted from. Well, I would say what diverts the light is your understanding to whatever you're being brought. So the light is just information and understanding. So look behind me. See how that's glowing? That's light that's coming to me that I can't see physically, but the light is coming to me in waves through my hair, through my body, or whatever. And so depending on what I've been studying and how I let the light come through me, I can let myself be a filter to truth. So when it comes through this body, which is truth and falsehood strangely mixed, I only take the truth part of it and I leave the strangehood with the body. So when I reassess what I was given, I can have a real truth that when I tell y'all rescissions and presentments, that's coming from something higher than, it's coming from a higher aspect of what I got this morning. Of course, the entity didn't tell me that. I want to be able to know what to tell y'all, the energies, because they don't speak in a language that you would understand. It's for me. So when I tell y'all, yeah, I like that. My fault. I always like to play in my head, like put it in some weird, like back position, then throw it back out. It's like a charge that I begin. Weird, right? But no. But anyway, presentments and rescinding contracts, documents. Study the law, study the Constitution, Article 3, Article 6. Study those. and then study Title 18 of the United States Code, and that should be enough remedy for you to get out of Dodge and to put yourself on point with whatever's going on. I'm trying to get people to understand this law. So our people who want indigeneity and want to represent the land, you can know how to operate as our ancestors, because our ancestors, man, like they didn't ask anybody for anything. There was nobody there to ask. It was only them and the Creator. So there was nobody for them to ask for help and how-tos. The how-tos, there was none. They were just divine in their own aspect. Like, all right, I'm going to deal with this real quick. So, you know how everybody talks about, so you got Indians talking about the dark-skinned Indians are saying that, yeah, we indigenous to America, we not from Africa, and we not Moors. Cool. You got Hebrew Israelites that broke away from the big groups of Hebrew Israelites, and now they're by themselves, not following the groups. So they say stuff like, yeah, we're all one, and we're Judah, and we're the tribes, but we not Moors. This is the funniest thing I ever heard in my life. These people are stuck in books or mindsets or belief systems and don't know how to embrace yourself as a global entity. You were a global goddamn empire at once. You had empires all over the world, and everybody looked like this, dark-skinned, hair long, or curly. And it was this frequency with us. So first of all, let's deal with this more. Why do the dark-skinned Indians call their teacher, their chief, when he's teaching, he's a Sagamore? Pause that. The Hebrew Israelites call their teacher, when he's teaching, they call him the Moray, right? The Moray. So now you you have to actually break people down when they start to be ignorant. Moors is telling y'all it's a bloodline. This is what we used to be known as before. People used to take our names, that M-A-U-R and that L-U-M, the Loom, the Lemuria, all that, Lemuria, all of that. Ancient Mu, those are ancient bloodlines of us before all of this crap went down, the Olmec bloodlines. But let's do what they want to do. So why you call your teacher a Sagamore? Is it a coincidence that you call someone who teaches you a Moor? Sagamore, Saga. What's Sega? Sega or Saga. That's the beginning story. So the ones with the original story, Saga Moor, you call him, that's the teacher name. Would it be because you learned your original story from Moors? Okay, on to the Hebrew Israelites. The Hebrew Israelites, you call your teacher a Moray, right? Folklores and mores are stories of ancient, right? Would it be because those are the ones who told you the ancient stories, the Morays? But you're not Moors. I know you're not, because the Morays and the Sagamores taught y'all. That's why you're not a Moor, because we were the ones who taught y'all. It's in your it's in your language. What do you call your teacher? Hebrew Israelite? He's a Moray. Okay. What do you call the teacher? Dark-skinned Indian? Sagamore. Sagamore. Okay. Sagamore, bro. So you're Moor when you realize that you had an empire and nations, not tribes in religious sects. Islam. So I'm going to cut out on that, and y'all get with that. I don't know. Holla at me, because I think after this I want to show some documentation of some of the stuff I was talking about with the presentments and rescissions, and then we can go into the history later, because I always be beating this history up. We can go into that later, but as long as y'all know, Moors is Hebrew Israelites and dark-skinned Indians. It always was. It was nothing different. Here you go, Indians, indigenous Indians of America. Why is India in the east and America in the west? But you're calling yourself an Indian, which means that your bloodline goes back to the east. Asia. Are you an Asiatic? You're not a Mongoloid? Okay. How did you get here? Oh, we always been here. Right. I know.
Well, how come the Indians of Hindustani, which is today present India, they have the same story? How come the Australoids of Australia, the Maori, how come they have the same story of being water-faring people and traversing the land all the way from northern Asia all the way around to the southern parts of to everywhere, to southern parts of India, southern parts of Africa, going all the way up to West Africa, cutting all the way up to the Bering Strait, and then cutting over again, going through Greenland and everything. They went to the borders of all of it, of all of the lands. So when they got over to America, they did all the borders. Then once they got in the lands, they found themselves in there. Now, is this so far ago the Europeans don't tell this story? Because some people don't like admitting that they weren't here the whole time, that's personal problems. Because see, you have people in the world believing that they're from a whole nother state, and people actually believe that they're related to monkeys, like a different species of anime. Animal kingdom, human kingdom. Why the hell do you think you come from a monkey? And then the Europeans, like Darwin, he never even said that. He never even, where do they get this stuff? It's like they get ideas off outside of themselves, and then they ride with them when that's not even their culture. Darwin said that we have a common ancestor between Homo sapien and the Australopithecus. Here, now, when he says we, who is he talking to at that time, right? So then, what race or what being would the Australopithecus represent, right? And then what being is this damn animal that he's talking about? The Neanderthal, right? What being is that? Then they tell you that anybody who has European genes in them has at least 2% of Neanderthal genes in them, or negative RH. I thought the RH was the Rhesus factor. It is. And it's funny. They say that if you have the Rhesus factor, that means you're human. If you don't have it, you are non-human. So would it be that the Rhesus macaque, when they're studying this animal, they're just using traces of specimens? They're using traces of chemicals that they find in this animal with human beings that live around the animal. Is that safe to say? And is it safe to say that when they find these same traces, they kind of just say, well, this is the original human? Why would you take the human being's anatomy, then relate it to a monkey, and then say, it's the monkey? That's because you're trying to take sciences and distort them to make people believe they come from something different and less than what they were. You can't tell people they came from creators of the world if you have them in a lower state of being. You have to tell them they come from monkeys or some shit like that, so they could stay in that lower state of being and believe that they never were anything greater. The out of Africa theory that comes with being the evolution theory. Do you know that? Do you know that if you say, yo, everybody came from Africa, that's also saying that everybody came from monkeys, because the same goddamn science is wrapped up in the out of Africa theory. Do you know that? If you say that all humans come from Africa, right, but then don't call white people African, here we go with presentments. Why do I present that as something? It's because that same theory-based understanding to take theories and make them facts. A bunch of fucking equations off of a chalkboard, 3 chalkboards, just all these equations and little fucking weird symbols, and that you can use those symbols to get to the moon. Yo, like really wake up and smell the fucking coffee, yo. The dark coffee from Colombia, the dark brown coffee from Brazil, the dark brown coffee from Jamaica, the dark brown coffee from every goddamn Caribbean island in the South Americas, that Arawak dark coffee, that Taino, that Lucane, right? Lucane is not no damn martial artist Asian from Mortal Kombat. The Lucanes is a tribe from South America. The Caribs. See, alright, you got Arawaks. As you have Spanish coming to meet Arawaks, it wasn't always beef, We was mating with them people. When the first Arawaks mate with the Spanish, you get Lucanes. When the Lucanes remate with the second coming of the Spanish, you get Caribs. Then it's funny that the Caribs had this sick ass. They wanted to eat everybody. They had a cannibalism thing with them. They wanted to eat other tribes. They wanted to attack the Arawaks. Why? Because they had a different bloodline all up in them that didn't respect the dark skin. Do you understand that this happens every single time you mix with the recessive version of you? It's not me saying it. The science of the CL224A5 gene is telling you about the recessiveness that created the European gene that created today Europeans with the pale skin. They're doing the research now, and they're realizing that everything we said before about 6,000 years ago is real. Meaning they just manifested on this plane about 6,000 years ago because of a gene mutation in dark-skinned people. This gene mutation is the same gene mutation that causes COA2 gene deficiency, which causes vitiligo and albino. Funny how we named what the land of England used to be called Britain, right? And Brittany, which is where we put the mutated species in Brittany. Then we moved them from Brittany to the Isle of Wight, WIGHT. The Isle of Wight was sequestered, but basically subsupplanted by another region that we called Albion. We moved him there and called the Isle of Wight Albion also. So, and then that became the Isle of Man in another venue. Just understand that when you look up Wight, WIGHT, it means creature. A living species of creature, a monster, for God's sakes. Then when you look up the later definition, it says later to mean living human being. So what is a white man? A WIGHT man? Because WHITE means shining, right? But when you look up the etymology for black, that means shining pale. So white and black are synonymous if you understand etymology. Then if you look up free white person in Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition, and anything before that, it says free white persons includes Moors, includes Persians, Egyptians, but it doesn't include Caucasian races. Somebody did us in. Because right now, we think we're niggas. When you look up any ancient name for niggas, it's talking about kings, sovereigns, nobles, rulers, gods. Negas, nagus, nagas, naga, right? But when he says nigger, he can't pronounce the way we said it back then, right? So he says nigger, nagar, right? Which is a bastardization of our name. And then he says nagardly, which means degraded from being civilized. Didn't he have this thing we call a savage? Watch this. A savage is somebody who fought him when he comes and tries to take your land. A civilized person is somebody who's docile and lets them take the land. So when they recognized the 5 civilized tribes that they did all these treaties with and broke the treaties by the time 1830 came with the Indian Removal Act, and then all Europeans was claiming bloodline of Cherokee, Shawnee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, I can't remember the other one, but the 5 civilized tribes is the same tribes the white people gained onto, and then through those tribes they started creating sub-tribes like the Metis Indians and all these other Indians that come from Canada. There is basically subgroups that tie into a history to deal with Mongoloids. Atsina tribe. What is the Atsina tribe? You look up Sina. Sina, the etymology of Sina goes to China, right? China means red. Who is the red man? The man that brought the red dye to this land. Who is that? That's the man that comes from the Mongoloid nations or the Asiatic nations. It's a Chinaman. He brought the red dye. But then when you look at the white man, he's the one who turns red when he gets upset or when he's showing emotion. So the red that if you look at my skin, it's a red, but it's like a copper red. It's not the same red as he is. It's like a burnt brass, like it was burnt in a fire, because the fire is the red or the orange of the intensity, and then the copper is this. But the redness around it is like I'm burnt in a furnace. So it's showing you that anybody who looks like me and hold up, her, we actually are the redeemers of this nation in this world. We supposed to be putting all the laws down for everybody who doesn't have rights, everybody who's getting abused. We're supposed to be returning everybody to law, because our nature is built upon that. Restoring order of law, restoring order of the way things supposed to be. That's who we are, y'all. Through all time, that's who we are. When rap was going AWOL, music was going AWOL, don't you remember? Pac coming back with the gangster, talking about the streets and how we're struggling. Biggie comes in and talks about the streets and getting money. He brings the money back to the streets. The Wu-Tang Clan, they bring that Shaolin temple art back to the dark-skinned people, right? Because of Wu-Tang, I understand Bruce Lee now. Because of Wu-Tang, I know about the 8 immortal gods. Because of Wu-Tang, I know about the Shanghai. That's all talk about America, bro. You know the Shanghai Empire, bro? Shaolin, bro. Shaolin. Listen, I enforce you to study. They studied the dragon. That's all I'm going to say, right? Quetzalcoatl, right? The rainbow serpent, which is the dragon, yo. That's the Kundalini. That's the energy of us. Once we start thinking outside of material. What did the serpent say to the chick in the tree? He said, that's what that man, he told you, that you won't surely die? Well, you won't surely die. What was he talking about? Because God was telling her about a physical death. Yeah, but you won't surely die, because do you really die when your physical death takes place? Not if you know about that you weren't your body. Because there is no death when it comes to energy. What was that serpent telling that lady? Did she activate her pineal gland? Did she activate her Kundalini and pineal gland? And then what the man was on was the old form of spirituality, listening to nature's intent, right? But then when her human nature kicked in, she excelled from him, right? Then he demonized her, saying that she shouldn't have known that much. It's funny. That's a funny story. Always ask people who tell that story, like, all right, well, if God tell you don't do this and don't do that, right? But you have no knowledge of good or evil, because that's all in the tree of good and evil. The knowledge of good and evil is in the tree right there, right? So I don't know how bad not listening to you is going to be to you and to me, because I don't know the difference between good and evil. But you tell me not to do this, and then you punish me for what I have no knowledge of if you tell me not to eat the tree, right? So it's just a little weird. It's a little riddle. Who's the outer broth? Who's Lilith? Who's Leviathan? Who's Sophia? Who's Bar Jesus? Who's Yeshua? Who's Constantine? What's the Council of Nicaea? I have no idea. Niceno-Constantine Creed? What is that? I don't know. What is the Holy Roman Empire? No, sorry. What is the Holy Catholic Empire? No. Holy Catholic Empire, right? What's that? What is the Holy Catholic Empire? What is the holistic cat? The holistic cat. Beset, right? What's that? Opposed to the Roman Catholic Empire. Habsburgs, Borgias, these people, the Pisos. Who are they compared to the Amorvids, the Almohads, the Mozarabs, the Morenos, the Mostizos? Who are hell are the Moors? Listen, why are they telling you about a story of the Moors in 1492 where they got expelled from Spain, but they also got expelled with Jews? Then when you look up the expulsion edicts, the edict of expulsion of Alhambra, look up the Alhambra edict. They only talk about Jews being kicked out. So what does this mean? Jewels, J-E-W, right? That's how they spell Jews. They're not talking about the people from Judah. Because how could everybody in the world descend from one tribe or one city? For God's sake, y'all crazy. Jews are short for Judah. The people of Judea are the Jews. But then they spell it J-E-W. So they're not talking about that. They're saying Jewels, meaning the gems. You're the living precious stone. A precious stone is the composite of an ancient time that got caught in a rock and then held its shininess or its potency of undead mineral and chemical. It's called petrifying stone. Oh, man, but it's no fear. So when you think of petrified stone, it's just saying the stone was able to keep its liveliness after it was encrusted. It's like if you was to dug up a fossil and then, put the fossil in a womb and it turns into a whole dinosaur. I mean, I don't know how to make it make sense, but that's what it is. If you find a gem buried in stone and you put it in how they test all the crap, put a laser to it, you'll be able to return certain knowledges from just that stone alone, because that's what stones are for. That's what they do. Gems and jewels, they hold knowledge that once we touch them, feel them, put them to our heads, and conceptualize new thoughts, new sciences, you'll come up with fucking NASA off of jewel. That's real rap. I'm trying to find that. Hold up. I'm trying to find that one that's hanging. Hold up. But anyway, when we find, you gotta understand, bro. They made that movie, Hidden Figures. They was only trying to tell you about what our women did. Oh shit. All right, cool. There we go. We was only trying. They was only telling you what your females did when NASA was created. Like the black woman or the melanated female created the math and the equations and the numbers that make NASA's bullshit equations make sense. They got full chalkboards of fucking equations. It's not real, bro. That was done by NASA through dark-skinned women. So the hidden figures are numbers, hidden, occult, esoteric. It's telling you that all of that understanding of the hidden, which is space, the void, right, is held in your dark-skinned female, bro. What they saying really is that the hidden figure is the melanated yoni, bro. The black pussy, the black panther, the black cat is the portal. That's the hidden figure. That's how you get to the moon if you were to go. It's through the yoni. That's the only way you go. That's the only way you come. Message in that. The only way you come, that's two meanings. Come and come, right? The only reason you come into this world, and the only way you could come into the universe, right, the universal world, is through the yoni, bro. If you come the right way, you'll make another you. If you come the wrong way, you'll be coming back as another you. It's like, yo, the creator is crazy with this shit. So like, if you conscious, you understand everything I'm saying right now. If you not, get the hell off my goddamn page then. Stop watching. Why would you watch for this long if you're not conscious? Go back to sleep. You sleep too much. I ain't talking about laying your head to rest. I'm talking about not being able to see with your eye. You're looking with these two, which is the lies. They tell lies to you because, first of all, they flip the image upside down and invert it, and then they only use red, blue, and yellow to tell you reality when it's multiple colors across the color spectrum, but you're using 3 to discern your reality. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right? You're using 3 colors to shut this down into one, and then you're dividing the 1 and the 2. It's false math. I could easily go into the 3 with the 2, right? If I go into the 3 with the 2, what am I left with? 1. Put the 2 into the 1, 2, 3, right? And it becomes 1. 2 into 3, or 2 from 3 equals 1. 1 eye here. 1, 2, 3. So 2 eyes, 1. That's the 3. But when I put these 2 into this, it becomes 1. These 2 come together into 1. So 1 plus 1 isn't 2. 1 plus 1 is 1 when you deal with spirituality. 1 plus 1 being 2 deals with creation. And then when you deal with divine creation, 1 plus 1 could be 100, because you don't know how much a feminine aspect will produce. I'm getting off of here after this, dog. I'm getting off of here. It's just too much shit coming to my head. A minute, which is a miniature, is a minute. Right? It's funny. But a second, which is secondary to the first, counts the smallest increment of your time. So even off of the way you count time, you're behind, bro. You count in seconds when it should be first. 61st should create 1 second, not 1 minute. See, it's fucking crazy. But later for that. I don't know how. See, it's crazy. All right, here we go. I'm gonna do it like this. All right. I think this is how I end it. All right, see y'all. And you son of a bitch. Damn, I can't even end this jump. Yeah, hold up. Yeah, I'm sure I want to end the streaming.